of all the terrible nonsense that's come out of the X-Men office the past 2 years, 3 years, Ten of Swords wasn't very good. This Destiny of X, I don't think, will be all that spectacular. Children of the Atom was a standout for being quite terrible, but there's nothing that has reached the epicness as far as garbage comic book quality that has come out of Hellfire Gala, one of the absolute biggest train wrecks Marvel Comics has put out in the last several years, and that is absolutely saying something. And the fact that it is probably the worst thing that the X-Men office has put out under Jordan White is saying something else. Even before Jonathan Hickman came on for House of X Powers of 10 and kind of reimagined what X-Men could be or are within the Marvel Comics universe, Jordan White's first act really as the X-Men group editor was Age of X-Man. That thing will go down in infamy as one of the biggest piles of dog shit that X-Men and Marvel have ever been associated with. And then he backed it up with Hellfire Gala. From what I understand, it was going to be a one-off issue in a Jerry Duggan Marauders comic. Marvel and X-Men needed an event of some type, so they decided to turn this one-off story, just a one comic story, into an entire month of just garbage. It was all about dresses on everybody and just stupidity. There's two things that came out of that. The terraforming of Mars, if you think that was a big deal, hasn't been treated like a big deal. Nobody in the Marvel Universe has mentioned it other than the X-Men. And then the death of Magneto, which turned into that really terrible Trial of Magneto comic story from Leah Williams that absolutely had no trial and almost had no Magneto in it. So to say in my mind that going back to the Hellfire Gala well is a bad idea is an understatement. We have known that Hellfire Gala was coming back in 2022. I don't know why. The one saving grace of all of this is that it won't be an entire month's worth of a dinner party with people in stupid dresses. It's going to be one comic book, an oversized, giant-sized comic book. I guess you got to stick with the X-Men tradition on this one. I've got the details. I'm going to mock it. I'm going to make some good points. And I do believe all of us will have a nice, hearty chuckle before this video is over because this thing is an absolute shit show. Now let's get into the details. Mark your calendar because Mutant Kind is hosting another Hellfire Gala, and it's shaping up to be a night that Marvel fans dare not miss. Superstar creators Jerry Duggan, Russell Dowderman, Matteo Lolli, CF Villa, and Chris Anka will deliver 72 pages loaded with high-stakes drama, shocking character developments, and, of course, show-stopping superhero fashion. Well, thank God there's going to be superhero fashion because if they didn't come back with some of those fashion covers, nobody would buy the book. I'm pretty sure that's the only reason that it was marginally successful the first time. It certainly wasn't story quality. I don't think a whole lot of people, at least X-Men fans, were actually interested in the story. But there were a lot of superhero fashion designs on the cover. As far as there being a superstar comic book creator on this, no thank you, sir. Jerry Duggan is not a superstar comic creator. No one's actually ever bought a comic book because it said Jerry fucking Duggan on the top. They may have bought a comic book that said Jerry Duggan on the top because there was a character they were interested in, or in this case, characters they were interested in. How this guy ended up being the main writer for X-Men is beyond me. Talk about getting something you never really earned. That is the Jerry Duggan story at Marvel Comics right now. Although his work on Savage Avengers was admittedly good. But to say that like Russell Dowderman is a superstar comic book creator, no. Matteo Lolli, no. Chris Anka, no. Certainly they've been associated with some books that probably made a couple of dollars here and there. But there is no superstar. I don't imagine a lot of people with actual talent or good sense about comic books would want to be associated with the sequel to Hellfire Gala. It's not shocking. At last year's gala, mutants changed the face of the solar system, terraforming Mars and claiming it for mutant kind. This time around, they'll once again set out to bring radical transformation to the Marvel Universe and are inviting every superhero on the planet to witness it. Radical transformation. Have we not had enough radical transformation in the X-Men universe? The X-Men are now the villains. We've got characters in the X-Men universe going out and finding their ex-lovers and best friends and skinning them alive and wearing them as skin suits. We've got a deer antler teen character going out there and murdering clerks because there was a bag that washed up on the beach and that was considered pollution. But you can't pollute Krakoa or something, so we're just going to murder people. The idea that you could do anything more radical as far as the transformation of X-Men right now is ridiculous. And actually promising that, I think, for the vast majority overwhelming majority of actual X-Men fans is probably not a selling point. I think a lot of people are a little tired of the radical transformation of the X-Men, where you got Wolverine playing the meat in the Jean Cyclops sandwich. The radical changes that have gone on in the X-Men have just been a little bit too much, for my opinion. And I just happen to imagine it's an overwhelming majority of actual X-Men fans that feel the same way. That is absolutely not a selling point for this comic book. And bringing up the terraforming of Mars, as I mentioned earlier, that was supposed to be the big moment of Hellfire Gala 1. It has had no consequences whatsoever on the Marvel Comics universe. Not one character that witnessed this amazing moment, because every hero in the Marvel Comics universe was there for that too. They're never like, you know what? Those mutants, they terraformed Mars. That could be dangerous. Like, are they a clear and present danger? Should we go to Mars and fight them? What are they doing up there? Perhaps we should go to Krakoa. Maybe we could meet informally with the Quiet Council and be like, why'd you terraform Mars? What's Storm doing up there? Like, do you have a whole planet full of killer mutants? Is that what you're hiding? What was that for? No one has ever asked, because no one cared, even in the Marvel Comics universe. So it's kind of hard to sell me on another Hellfire Gala when that was the big moment. This is a big dinner party, but there's going to be a big surprise. And that big surprise was so underwhelming that no other writer in the entire 616 has done anything with it. In fact, in Marvel Comics X-Men universe, they've barely done anything with it. Who's written anything about the terraforming of Mars and what's going on there? I think it's Al Ewing. And a little bitty bit of Jerry Duggan. You want me to read Hellfire Gala 2? Telling me you're going to bring back the old status quo and we're going to forget everything that just happened. Or the mutants are finally going to get their comeuppance, because I'm personally rooting for the Avengers. I'm rooting for the Eternals. I'm rooting for every single superhero team in the Marvel Universe, the Fantastic Four, the Champions, all of them, to go to Krakoa and destroy them once for all. Nuke Krakoa out of the existence of the Marvel 616, and I think you will have change, radical change, that people could get behind. That's just a thought. When an uninvited guest crashes the party, the chaos that ensues will cause cracks in the very foundation of Krakoa and lead directly into the biggest Marvel story of the year, Kieran Gillen and Valerio Schitti's Judgment Day. All that, plus the reveal of the new X-Men lineup and the winner of the mega popular X-Men fan vote. The seeds for what's to come in the X-Men franchise over the next few years are planted right here. Oh, yes, the other reason to buy the original Hellfire Gala, the unveiling of the X-Men fan vote and the new team, who have essentially in the Marvel 616 timeline been the X-Men for about 6 weeks, and they're already being replaced. And let's not forget all the wonderful things they did with Polaris, the person that won the fan vote. Like, oh, everybody wanted something from Polaris. She literally did nothing in the entire X-Men run that she's been on the team. Was she even a sidekick? I don't remember her doing anything in battle. So who gives a shit about the fan vote? Because you literally did nothing with the characters. And who cares about the new team? They're just going to be replaced in 12 months anyway, which will be another 6 weeks in the Marvel, sliding timeline. And also, they've got to sell this event being tied into the other event. The only way that you can sell me on this being important is to tell me that it's involved with the next big important thing. You can't make Judgment Day feel important because it's got the Eternals in it. If it was important, it wouldn't have the Eternals. And if it did have the Eternals, they would have been in the back right upper corner where they belonged, right next to the Inhumans and all the other characters no one cares about in the Marvel Comics universe. If it was important, it was a three-way dance. It would be the Avengers versus Fantastic Four versus the X-Men. And now you've got a Judgment Day people will be coming in for. But we're supposed to believe Judgment Day is the biggest story of the year. I thought that was X Lives and Deaths of Wolverine. Wasn't that what they were telling us with that one? I am so tired of Marvel Comics and DC, for that matter, overselling and under-delivering every single goddamn time they have a chance to make an impression. And I imagine I'm not the only one that feels this way. We did get to hear from writer superstar Jerry Duggan, the guy that, when he releases a comic book, despite it doesn't matter what character it is, it doesn't matter what publisher it is, you have to go buy it. That Jerry Duggan, the one that doesn't exist, he actually spoke. This is what he had to say about Hellfire Gala 2022. Last summer, your host, Emma Frost, invited you to celebrate Krakoa with some fireworks. This year, it's about celebrating Mutandom's friendship with humanity. Once again, we have a murderer's row of talent crafting a one-shot with revelations that will chart the biggest stories in the Marvel Universe. All that, and meet a new team of X-Men. Celebrating mutantdom's friendship with humanity? Where did that come from? It feels like it's been pretty much set out that mutants and everybody else in the Marvel Universe are at odds. Where's the friendship? The mutants on Krakoa have essentially hijacked the entire world for this special medicine and all this other stuff. Now, not to mention what they did to Reed Richards, who would be a hero and a treasure to everyone in the entire Marvel Universe. They went in there and basically messed with his mind and tried to kidnap his children. There's no friendship between mutants and humans. Did you forget that part of the story? Have you forgotten all the stuff you've done for the last 2 years? What do you think, you can undo it with a Hellfire Gala fashion display? Jerry Duggan's head is shoved so far up his own ass, he doesn't know where the story begins and ends, to be completely honest. If you don't believe me, not that long ago, my good friend Aaron Sparrow joined me and we had a conversation about how Jerry Duggan and the other X-Men writers think they're above the fans, that they don't really need to answer them, and they certainly don't need to write stories that X-Men fans will really like. If you want to see what a jackass this guy is, watch this video, because these are his own words.